Welcome back, everyone. I've been exploring and working with schools and kind of exploring the idea of creating kind of multi-day, even week-long or unit experiences. Oftentimes, the discussion always comes back to how we can use Google Slides, and that's what I want to explore with you in this session, is how you can use Google Slides to create a week-long or a unit-long experience. So I have a little template here that I've mocked up, and I'll put the link to the template in the kind of description of the video, but let me kind of give you a sense of what I've built here and a quick little walkthrough, and maybe this template could be super beneficial for you. So the model here, if you see this kind of like color-coded table right here, and that's just a table, a 3x1 table that I've color-coded each space, and I'll explain why that's the case. A lot of schools I've been working with, kids are maybe live in class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday's a totally self-paced thing at home. Thursday, Friday, they might be kind of online or virtual. Or some schools, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, kids are totally virtual. Wednesday's completely self-paced. So you might swap out the kind of language you're dropping in there. What I'm thinking is how can we break the week kind of into three chunks? The face-to-face time, the totally self-paced online, and then maybe the face-to-face virtual time on the back end of the week, something like that. So as you can see in the slides here, what I've built out is really just maybe two template slides. But what I've done, for example, on slide 1 right here is, and I put concept 1 just to have some generic kind of language, but we're in the week 1 unit, we're exploring concept 1 or idea 1. And so what I'm trying to create here is like really clear navigation for the students to know exactly how to work through this experience. So they land here, whether they're at home or they're even in class or they're working, maybe they're starting out in a live call, Zoom or Google Meet, and then you're sending them off after the call to work independently, or maybe you're even building in some kind of dark time in the Google Meet where cameras and mics are off and kids are working here. So box number 1, all that is a shape. I just went to the insert shape tool and dropped in that little kind of semi-rounded shape. And maybe we're putting a big overview, the driving question, the idea in text in this box, right? And there's a little 1 of like start here. Then maybe down here in box number 2, that could be like a teacher video. So I love using record to slides, and I'll pop that open right now, and I'll put that link in the comment section as well, or in the description section. I'll open up record to slides, and now I'm recording a front-facing video, where I might say, hey everyone, welcome to your first independent experience. So the overview and kind of the big ideas and concepts are right above me here. And what I'm gonna have you do is engage in this little short reading next to me as your introduction. So keep in mind when you're exploring that reading, or that could even be like a video next to me, a screen recording, a YouTube video, a graphic or an image. So the purpose of this little video is to get kids kind of comfortable. They're not totally on your own. You're supporting or scaffolding or even meeting 504 IEP needs with this embedded teacher video using record to slides. So I'll hit done with that video. I'm just gonna hit okay to drop that onto my slides. And then in just a moment, and it takes 10, 20, 30 seconds, that video is gonna drop onto the slides, right? And now the kids will have that kind of support video they need. And then in box number 3, right, there's my little video. Just gonna crop this and move it down into that space that I've pre-set up. And it could be like teacher video goes here in that little template. Okay, let me just crop this down a little bit more so it fits in this space. Right, and so that's what students they start with what's the big picture, step 1, they move down to step 2, my welcome video, and then there's some content I've put off there in that kind of third space. So that's the kind of introduction, the teaching, the kids are absorbing new material and new content. Then we move on to the next slide, and you'll notice the banner's still blue, but it says week 1, concept 1, challenge, task, activity, assignment, however you want to describe it. They are kind of actively engaged in this now. So my little space now is a teacher video. And what I'm thinking is, along with providing directions for the task, the problem, the activity, whatever the assignment is itself, why not make another short video using record to slides where you're like, okay, welcome to concept or challenge 1. Here's what I'm trying to get you to understand and explore with this task, right? So you're setting the stage, you're building context, kind of explaining what you want them to work on. They're done with your video, really clearly marked, kind of step 1. They move on to step 2 right here, where they're gonna go, okay, this is my challenge. But here's what you can put. That might be a link to a reading. That could be a link to some web-based activity that they're going to explore. So the whole thing doesn't have to fit there. You can totally create links out if you want to. Or I even have a little short video that explores kind of preview mode in Google Slides. You might even put a link to another Google file that will prop up in preview mode down in the corner. You can check that video to see how preview mode works. Then phase 3, I've made that student workspace. And depending on kind of the age and comfort level and the devices your kids are on, you might have them type in that workspace, drop an image by using insert, right? So they might work offline and go insert image from their front-facing camera. If they're in a math class, they might hold up a dry erase board, snap a photo. They might have a poem they've written out, hold it up on paper, snap a photo and drop it in there. Or if they're comfortable using record to slides, if that's been approved, kids can add their own video. You might have them use Screencastify and add a screen recording in that space. So they're just kind of building out demonstrations of their understanding and that kind of their process. You might even do something like a thinking routine, something like Connect, Extend, Challenge, or I used to think, but now I think, these kind of Project Zero thinking routines. And I'll put the link in the description to that as well. Right, so now the template really just builds, and it's super redundant, not for the sake of like easing the burden on me to build, but when kids open this, I want it to look familiar so they're not worried about navigating, like, what do I do next? This looks different. I want it to be consistent so we can eliminate questions around navigation and we can focus on the content and the ideas and what we're asking them to do with them. So this is concept 2, right, in a very similar slide before. Here's concept 2, challenge, concept 3 challenge, right? Or the task or the activity or the prompt you're going to have them work on. Now, I know if say you were to use Google Classroom and you can make a copy of this, make a copy for each student, but you might be thinking, and I was in a similar position when I was a history teacher many years ago. I had, well over 100 students, I think 120 or 130 students between all of the sections that I taught. And it might not be reasonable to say, well, open up 100 notebooks, check on slide 7 in every single notebook. Like, you'd want to check on them to see completion along the way. And maybe even at the end of the unit, if you're using Google Classroom, that's when the kids turn it in so they don't lose editing rights along the way. And you can check to see their completion. But here's another idea that I think could be really helpful. At the end of the blue content, when we're working through kind of all of the Monday, Tuesday work, maybe you build in like a link to a Google form, and that's just an icon representing a Google form, the little pointer finger is like, hey, don't forget to click here, and that links them to the Google form, which is the formative assessment. That might have a few multiple choice and open response, and you're pulling all of the ideas from that blue content, and they're submitting via the Google form. That the benefit to you is it curates all those kind of student responses into one spot. You can keep an eye on that and check completion rates. Now, you could even, for example, you might link, notice I have a Google form after the blue block, I have a Google form after the red component, Google form after the green component. All of those forms can point to one spreadsheet. I can even toggle those forms on and off. So on a Google form, when you go to the response page, I might only have the blue form open on Monday and Tuesday, and then I'll turn it off. I might open up the red form on Wednesday because I want them to do that and complete it on Wednesday, turn it off Thursday morning. Now, you don't have to do that, but it's something that's possible along the way. Now, the purpose of the color coding is I want this kind of like visual cue. So when the students land on slide 1, they know, for example, up here, let me just get myself out of the way, they know, okay, the blue content, I'm dealing with that Monday, Tuesday. Whether it's synchronous and we're doing it through a Zoom or a Google Meet call, or we might start in the call, then I set them off working on their own, or if it's completely self-paced, like it's reasonable to have them work through the blue ideas, then Wednesday, maybe that's a totally self-paced day, they work through the red component, and that's just a shape on the top, color-coded red with some text inside of it. And then to wrap the week up, they work on the green component. So what am I aware of here? It's a lot of time and energy to build up front. Even talk of like, hey, it takes 3 times the length to build digital as it does to build for traditional kind of face-to-face. And I understand that. But my thought behind this is if we build through the unit or the week, we can add like, what is the driving question? What can we put up here as like the purpose, the goal, or like what do we want kids to be able to speak to at the end of the week? And we kind of map out the experience, and then we can be a little bit more understanding of internet goes down, or the student simply can't control their environment, or the device is kind of like not functioning the way we would hope, but everything isn't dependent on that kind of live experience because they can always return here through teacher support videos with recorded slides that are embedded along the way. So I hope this idea, this concept of building kind of unit-long, week-long experiences in Google Slides is helpful. Like I said, I'll drop the link to this template down in the description. Feel free to make a copy of it, and maybe you can get started building on your own. So thanks a lot. Don't forget to subscribe. Check back often for any future videos, and I hope to see you soon.